Emily Elliott from Eborns,
And I'm Bobbi Barfoot from Truborn.
and welcome to another edition of Reborn Rap.
Welcome.
Yes. How are you, Bobbi?
Pretty good. I'm pretty good. Show prepping to the max right now. So we're down to
Awesome.
the final countdown. So what about you?
I'm all right. I have a funny story. I'm a little embarrassed to be on camera today, actually, because of my hair. Oh my gosh. I'm going to let people at home see this. I got my hair cut at Great Clips. It's the worst haircut of my entire life. I have this part is really short and this one's really long. It's horrible. I have to go get it fixed somewhere.
So did they just kind of...
Oh, it was horrible because my hair was down past my butt. Now it's about to like right here. She didn't even section it. She didn't even brush it. She just went cut straight across the bottom. Didn't even turn my chair. Just walked around me going like.
Isn't that what they do when you're like in kindergarten and they trim your
A
hair?
bowl cut or something? I think so. And I'm so
sad.
nice. I ended up tipping her like $20. I felt bad. I'm so embarrassed to go to my regular stylist though and have her see like what I let someone do to me. So we have a good episode today. Today we are talking silicone versus vinyl.
That's right. We're going to explain the
Yeah.
different mediums and all the talk surrounding them.
Yep, absolutely. So you are very knowledgeable about silicone. I'm not as knowledgeable. So why don't you go ahead and start us off with a little breakdown of kind of what silicone is, differences.
Well, silicone is more of a soft, flexible, basically it's a rubber material. So, and it's just soft, flexible, skin-like. Silicone definitely feels more real, which is why people love it. It's more expensive because the raw materials are definitely more expensive. And it does require a little bit gentler handling because, it can be punctured, it can be torn. So you just have to be a little more careful with it.
And the softer it is, kind of the more fragile it is.
Yes. Yeah. There actually is a limit of how much slacker you can put into silicone, which is what softens it before it actually would, can just kind of rip way too easily. So I think the higher percentage of slacker you have, the more fragile it becomes. They're still fairly durable, but you have to be more careful.
And I don't know about you, but I've been seeing kind of a mass exodus, I guess. Like almost every single vinyl artist I know is now moving into silicone. It seems like there's about to be a big silicone boom.
Yep, I've seen it too, where people either are switching over completely from vinyl to silicone or they're doing both now. They're dabbling in the silicone, and it's a lot of people, a lot. I'd say a huge percentage of the industry has dabbled in silicone at this point.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering what your thoughts are on this. I was thinking about this the other day. Like until recently, there hasn't been as much competition in the silicone market. Like there was a handful of really amazing silicone artists. Do you think that the fact that now there's all these vinyl artists moving into silicone, that's going to negatively affect the silicone market at all?
I don't know about negatively. It'll definitely have an impact to some degree because when anything has limited availability, it changes when it suddenly becomes more widely available. So
Yeah.
will we I guess in some cases you'll see sales maybe decrease for some people, but other people, I don't know, maybe they do great. I guess it just like vinyl, it depends on the artist, the quality, all of those aspects really make the end result different for everyone.
Yeah, I was wondering if the competition would change kind of the standard pricing of finished silicone dolls when you have more people coming in that are newer to it and learning. And so you'll see the kind of different skill levels that we have in vinyl where there weren't as many before in silicone.
And I think it'll be almost the same where you'll see a bigger price range because there will be more skill levels. So those high-end artists who sell high are always going to sell high because they gained that skill and that reputation. And then the newer people, may have to price a little lower in the beginning until they gain all the skills and reputation and, trustworthiness and all that. Because as you know, Um, Silicone, one of the good things about it, and I think one of the reasons people are moving to it, is because it's very difficult to take a silicone baby and counterfeit it.
Yes.
So you see fake silicones, but those are typically molded from vinyl. So those are knockoffs that were vinyl that are now silicone. But to take an actual baby that's just silicone and mold it into more silicone, it's very difficult because of the flexibility of the material. It's very difficult to mold, if not impossible. I don't know how anyone could do it, but I think that is another reason people are moving because the flood of counterfeits in the vinyl market.
Yeah. There's also, like I think a lot of people kind of look at the price tag. Like you said, silicone is more expensive. Like the kits are obviously a lot more expensive than vinyl, but you can also sell the finished baby for a whole lot more if you're at a good skill level, anyways.
Yeah, the margins are definitely bigger on silicone, but the raw materials are much higher in cost.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. And I think kind of that getting started, like coming from vinyl into silicone, you definitely have to reinvest in all new supplies. Like you can't use the same brushes and sponges and things like that. You have to have dedicated silicone ones. And then, of course, pigments and silicone and different solvents and media, like all of these different things can be a pretty big investment for somebody wanting to switch over.
That's why I say cuddle heads are a good way to start with silicone to kind of get your foot in with getting used to painting and stuff. They're great. And then some places you can ask if they have any scrap or practice pieces or boo-boos, and you can get those even cheaper and practice on those, if
You
not free.
carry some, really great silicone heads. I have your, silicone Nivea that
She's
you
so cute.
sell. Oh, she is gorgeous. I love that one. But you have some really great options that are more affordable for people
Mhm.
learning.
Yeah, I think we have over 30 heads now, and it's not on my Truborn site, which I think some people don't know. It's a separate website, siliconekits.com, so that's where they have to go to get those.
I'll put that in the description too if you guys want to start your silicone journey and stock up on some silicone kits.
Yeah, come on over. One of the things I wanna mention is I've noticed, aside from like artists switching over, I've noticed that some sculptors are stopping sculpting for vinyl and switching to only doing silicone because their stuff has been stolen and they don't want to deal with it. And it's just to protect themselves. And it's sad for the vinyl market, but this is one of the reasons why we don't want to support the counterfeit market because it's going to push those sculptors to either move to a different medium or get out of the industry altogether.
Absolutely. I've seen a couple of sculptors that I really like that are doing that right now. Like they've just sculpted their last vinyl for a while and they're moving to silicone. And I'm like, oh, I really need to get it together and get my silicone way, way higher because I love their sculpting. I don't want to
Mhm.
miss out on their kits because I'm not great with silicone yet.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons of silicone.
I think for silicone, one of the biggest pros is that silicone is easily repairable. So you can have major flaws in silicone and they can be fixed. And silicone is like you can dig out a big hole in silicone and fill it up and you would never know it was there. And those repairs are permanent and solid. So silicone definitely has a repairability that vinyl does not have. Vinyl's very limited on what you can fix.
I think that is amazing. I've been doing a lot of vinyl repairs lately, I'll say. And I mean, even like the smallest repairs, it is so hard for it not to be visible. Like you can always tell that you made a repair there. And I love that idea that silicone is so easy to do stuff with. I mean, you see people that, they have like they want arms from a different kit and they cut them off, put them on there. Like, you can do the craziest thing and you never know.
As opposed to vinyl where repairability is limited, but with vinyl, you have the ability to strip the paint and you cannot do that with silicone. So not without, well, I guess some people have been able to peel it off, but I mean, you're talking a process that is so tedious, if not impossible. Or in vinyl, you
Yeah.
can just strip it down and start all over. You've got a whole fresh kit.
That's true. You can paint it multiple times for practice or if you mess up. I had somebody years ago when I first started learning silicone tell me, "Oh, it's real easy. You just sand it off." No, it is not real easy. And I don't know how they sand it off. Like I kept trying to sand it and it was just this like gummy mess. It was not removing anything. I'll say that.
Very difficult. I'm guilty of, I can honestly say, and this is probably strange for a lot of people. I have been in the industry 19 and a half years now as an artist. I have never stripped a vinyl kit. Not because I did a good job painting it, but because if I mess it up, I just stop painting it and start on something different because I can't fathom the idea of having to start all over. It just kills me. If I'm
I'm
going to
like
start
that
over,
too.
it's like I'll start over on something different because I have a bad taste in my mouth about that baby now. So I need to set it aside and do something different.
When I first started, I used to strip all the time. Now it's really rare that I will only buy one of a kit. I normally buy at least two. And so if I mess one up, it goes in a box. I'm like, forget this. I'll just start over on a fresh kit. I don't want to deal with it. And then sometimes you have adhesion issues if you're, after stripping and like it can just be such a hassle. I can't be bothered.
Yeah, I've never tried it, but I know it's possible. I had to
It's not
strip a
fun.
spot on a baby one time. I was doing a
Yeah.
custom order and Levi got my black Genesis paint and like drew on the face with it with a paintbrush when he was like 3. And I had to call the lady and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like Levi painted on the face and I'm going to have to strip that area. I'm going to try to make it match and everything." And I did an okay job and she was totally fine with it cuz she's like, "Well, now I have a kit that was painted by you and Levi." Like
Oh,
it
that's
was
so sweet. I would say maybe like the biggest con that I see for silicone is price. Like even getting your first blank, like full body can be thousands of dollars. So it can be really difficult for some people to get into. Do you know why it's so expensive?
the materials. Most vinyl kits, well, all vinyl kits are made at a factory. Vinyl is hollow, so it's less material being used, and they're usually made in larger quantities. And so the cost is much less because the raw materials for vinyl are much less than the raw materials for silicone. Silicone also has another layer to it that some people forget when they're looking at pricing, which is most silicone is molded and casted by an artisan, someone whose their craft is molding and casting. That's an art in itself, and they need paid for their time as well. So that adds another layer. On top of the silicone material being so costly, they are going to spend days, if not weeks, molding this thing. And then once they cast it, they have to, if it's a full body, do all of the patchwork and seaming and repairs on that baby. And that can take days and days just on one baby. So there's a lot of time involved and it's a craft in itself. So then you end up with, babies that can range in price full body wise from 1200 up to 2500 for these blank kits. So it is
Yeah.
much, much more expensive to get into.
I've seen some blanks for more than that. I've seen them up to
Oh,
4,500 for a blank. Yeah.
I've not se I've not
Don't
seen
keel
them that
over
high.
on camera.
I'm gonna I've not seen them that high, but I think I've seen up to 3,000 at the highest, and even that I was like, "Whoa, I could never afford that," but, kudos to
Yeah.
you who can because usually
It's
those are limited, editions. And that's another thing
yeah.
is the quantity of silicone that can be cast from one mold is so much less than how many can be made. You can have thousands, tens of thousands made of vinyl out of the same mold, but silicone molds get damaged or break down over time and, you get less out of it.
And that must be scary for a person if you're counting on that as your income. Like, you don't have that security because you don't know exactly how much you're gonna be able to earn out of that one. And I'm glad that you pointed out kind of how specialized it is because I know there's like a lot of YouTube videos like make your own silicone baby and they make it look really, really easy. And it's definitely not. Like it is an absolute art form.
It is. I learned to do casting, and at this point do cuddle heads and partials, and working towards getting into the full bodies. But I have one full body mold here that's a practice one, and we've I think done like 5 of them. But just even learning to do the seaming and repairs so that they look clean and nice, and that itself, it's a skill. It's like painting. It's its own skill. You have to kind of learn and evolve and figure out, like, if you see a bubble in a certain spot, in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, this baby's ruined." And, my friends are like, that's an easy fix," and then they'll tell me how to fix it. I'm like, "Oh," kind of like
That's how
putting
I would be.
armatures. Like Melody, when she was here in April, showed me how to put armatures in a full body silicone. And I'm like, I was scared to death to do that. And she made it look so easy, so easy. And you have to be careful because, you have the wrong kind of wire, then over time it can break. You push too hard, it'll come out, the fingers, and now you've ruined it's tricky but doable. And thankfully, since silicone is more easily repaired, if you do mess up, you can usually fix it, but you may end up with some of those fixes being a little more obvious than others, depending on where they're at.
That's what makes me nervous about it, like, with the cost of the blanks, I always think, "Oh, I'm gonna mess up something really awful." Like, I haven't done a full body yet. I'm, like, definitely of the mind of I want to really master cuddles and partials before I invest in a full body. There's some really good classes out there, though, for repairs.
Yes, Silicone Studio, the last few years at our show, taught a class on seaming and repairs, and by far one of the most popular classes at our show. And I think Doris is going to be teaching a similar class as well, which I find absolutely amazing because, these are not classes you see online anywhere. I mean, I haven't. So I love that they're teaching that now.
Yeah, I would love to take a class like that just to give me the confidence because I'm so afraid of messing things up.
Yep, I was too.
I love silicone. I don't think that you can beat the difference in feel. Um, Gosh, like just the way that the weight is distributed. I love heavy babies. I weigh my reborns really heavy. Like holding a silicone, just the way that they move and everything, it is absolutely amazing.
And
Like,
people have to remember that plays into the cost of silicone as well. Silicone is solid. So, vinyl's hollow, so a lot less material is used, and silicone is solid. So that's a lot of material in a full body baby.
and you could feel it when you hold them. They're just
Yeah.
great.
But
Yeah.
they just snuggle right in, and they're so skin-like and squishy.
I know. And I guess, they are a lot less layers to paint as well, than vinyl. Like you can't paint as many layers because it builds up and it doesn't look good. But that's one thing that I've found really challenging trying to learn silicone is because I do probably way too many layers. I do a ton of layers. And so trying to kind of achieve the same skin results in like 4 to 6 layers versus, 40 layers is really, really difficult for me. I can't wrap my head around it. I struggle.
Yeah, some people can do, 6, 7 layers of paint and they're done, and then they'd seal it, and silicone basically is painted with silicone. So every layer of paint you put is adding to the thickness, you know what I mean? So it's not like vinyl where
Yeah.
it blends in and kind of stays level with the skin. It's layering. So yeah, you have a limit because if you put, 40 layers, that's
Yeah,
gonna
you
look, I
lose
don't
all
think
the
that'll look good.
details. You'll have no creases anymore. It's gonna be, like, bumpy. You explained it exactly how I was trying to, but I didn't have the right words.
Yeah, it just piles on. Basically, you're piling on more silicone.
Yeah. They photograph so well too, I find, like, especially after you mat them down and stuff, like, they really do have this real baby skin look, most of them.
Mhm. And the matting powder you use makes a difference too, 'cause if you go with, cheaper matting powders or ones that weren't meant for silicone, they can look very chalky, and they can also attract wetness, like There,
Mm.
baby powder, for example, the intention of baby powder is to absorb moisture. The intention of matting powder is to repel moisture. So they work completely opposite. So when you mat your baby with a powder that's meant to absorb moisture, that's going to create the possibility of mold and all kinds of other things because that powder is, especially if you live in a humid area, is sucking in all that moisture.
Yeah, that's
So
something I've never thought about.
yeah, well, when
And you
people say, "Well, why can't I use baby powder or, talc or different?" Well, those are a completely opposite powder of what you're looking for in silicone.
and you have a really great matting powder.
I do, and I actually, because what I was gonna say is when matting powder is cheap or it's chalky looking, you can see that chalkiness in the photos, and so as much as I like the matting powder that we have, I'm actually working on improving it. So I'm going to be um, testing it out soon because I have all the stuff to make a new batch. But we're adding a couple additives that are meant for silicone, but um, each one of them does something a little bit different and it's supposed to create a more skin-like effect where in pictures there will be no chalkiness, nothing. I don't get chalkiness now, but I don't this is just gonna add a different level. It's gonna level it up. So it's gonna be more skin-like, which I'm super excited about. I'll send you some to try.
Awesome, I would love to. The matting process kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know why. I feel like it's kind of one of those things like with vinyl, if something's going to go wrong, it's usually always going to go wrong at the very, very end. And the idea that I could totally screw up a single layer at the end after so much like time and money and all that just terrifies me. So I think, that's one area like I wouldn't want to skimp on. I want to make sure that I spend a little bit more and get the proper products, that I watch a tutorial and find out exactly how to do it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the matting process is what kept me from trying to paint silicone for
Really?
I got in the industry in January of 2007, and I did not paint silicone until I think it was around June of 2019.
Oh, wow.
I took Susan's online painting course, Susan Gibbs, and I kicked myself once I did it. It's so much easier than I thought, and the matting process is not as scary as I thought. So I was like, why did I mean, that's 12 years that I didn't paint silicone because I was terrified to because everyone kept telling me the matting process is so hard and you'll ruin it. And I'm like,
That's what
oh
I hear
no.
from people.
And it can ruin it if you do, so it does have risk, but it's not nearly as scary as what you might think.
Well, that's good. Like, that fear is contagious. Like,
Mhm.
I know so many artists that are getting into silicone right now, so I'm hearing that all the time. Like, "Oh my gosh, I have to mat. I hope I don't ruin this baby," and then it, like, amps up my anxiety about it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is you can't because you're wet matting, it looks dry, but it's not underneath, so you can't touch it. It leaves an actual finger mark of like this white ring if you touch it. So once you get the powder on there, you have to let it cure all the way before you handle it. And I think that's where some people mess up.
Do you think that vinyl artists have an advantage going into silicone over somebody who has no reboarding experience at all?
Yes. And it would be because if you know how to paint vinyl, that means you know the basic colorations and where you would put those colors. So the application process you would already have knowledge of, like where you put the blues, where you put the veins, those kind of things somebody that's never painted wouldn't know. So having that underlying knowledge will greatly benefit you. Even though the process is different, you're still basically putting on the same colors, just less of them.
Yeah. I keep thinking like that it would probably be the absolute easiest for somebody who's newer to vinyl painting, and this is just my own opinion, where you've done some classes, like your color theory, undertone placement, all of that kind of stuff, but you're not super set in your application method ways. I've struggled a little bit myself with that, just because things are so different. Like I do a lot of depth layers in my vinyl painting, but if I do them the same way on silicone, they're raised, so I need to flatten them. And I feel like the colors kind of work together a little bit, differently. Like, on vinyl, if your baby's too red, you can just do a green layer and they kind of meld together and it's gonna neutralize that. And I find doing that on silicone, that kind of the last layer you put on is the one that you see the most. Like, they just don't blend in together the exact same way, and that's been challenging for me.
That's true because I don't know, with the vinyl paints, it does seem like the colors will blend easier. And then with
Yeah.
silicone, you're just kind of layering on top of each other. So it's basically what shows through the next
Yeah,
layer
exactly.
is how the blending works. So that is a lot different.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite silicone products?
Um, I use Silk Pig for most of the babies I paint. I did, however, create some of my own pigments. And the last 4 babies that I've painted, I've used my own pigments on
That's
those,
awesome.
and I really like the way they work, and they're nice and pigmented, so I don't have to use a lot of it, so, I those aren't something that I sell, so I can't say it's a product, it's just something I made for me,
Yeah.
but, I would say with silicone, I mean, I use the same types of sponges. I use the makeup wedges. I use the same kind of brushes. It's just specific for the silicone.
Yeah.
Matting powder wise, I really like almost all the matting powders that are out there, the professional ones. And I've used all but, I don't think I've ever used the Sam powder, but I've
I
used
haven't either.
D3 and silicone velvet, and then the one that we created. And I love all of them.
That's awesome. I was hoping to get some new tips from you. I'm using pretty much the same stuff you are, except for the stuff that you made yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think those are good. I don't know. I've been happy with my products that I have with learning. It's definitely just getting used to the different application techniques.
One of the things about silicone, and this is why painting hair on silicone is difficult, is silicone is self-leveling. It wants to spread. So if you were to draw a fine line, it's going to slowly spread just until it levels itself out, you know? So painting like a really fine hair with silicone is so difficult, if not impossible. You kind of have to come up with different ways to do it. You know, I have a method I use that is working. I'm still testing it kind of. It's something that maybe at some point I would share information on or show people how to do, but for now I'm still making sure it's durable and it's going to work and last.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to paint hairs on. I do mostly like applied eyebrows on my vinyl dolls. I use varnish to do it. So that's what I do with silicone too, is applied. I've seen some really amazing painted hair ones though, and I don't know how people are pulling it off. It's fantastic.
I'm guessing each artist has their own way of doing it and
Oh, I'm sure.
they're
Yeah.
not just putting the psycho paint with pigment and trying to draw it on there because I mean it really doesn't work well.
Yeah.
You know, with vinyl, you can get those crisp, really
Oh,
thin
yeah.
lines, which I love, but you can't get them the same with silicone.
Yeah, definitely not. So, silicone dolls are a huge investment. How do you think that they hold value on the secondary market?
I think it depends on several factors. Obviously, how they're handled is a huge one. If they're handled a lot and end up with small flaws like tears and things happening, because sometimes people will rip a finger off or, you know, on the full bodies, they pick them up a lot and the armpits tear, things like that. Or even though silicone is painted with silicone, it can peel sometimes. And I don't know if that has to do with the way it was painted or the materials used, but I've seen on the secondary market, you know, silicone dolls with peeling paint, which is going to obviously damage the value greatly. I think if it's well cared for, treated as an art doll, then I think they hold their value pretty good.
And that always breaks my heart when I see those. Like, a lot of times they'll post the picture when they bought it, and you're just like, "Oh, it is gorgeous," and then they'll post it now, it has, little patches of hair, all that's left, and, like, you could tell that they weren't caring for it. Like, I cannot imagine spending, like, 6 or $7,000 on a finished silicone baby, and I don't even know if I'd handle it, honestly. I'd probably just keep it in a case and look at it every now and again, maybe gently pick it up like this and set it back.
I had a vinyl baby that I paid a lot of money for one time, and I didn't ever hold it because I paid too much for it. It was an art piece. I wanted to admire it and look at it, and I think I changed the outfit on it twice in the years that I had it because I just didn't wanna mess it up in any way because it was a Alexa Calvo baby, and
Uh,
I was so in love with it. Paid a lot for it, but I ended up having to sell it. I really needed to sell it, and so I lowered the price for a quick sale.
oh,
But, I think her babies tend to hold their value. But silicone and vinyl both can hold their value if they're treated well.
yeah, agree.
It's art, so it's not like a car lot where you drive the car off the lot and it loses value. It shouldn't because it's art.
No.
If you look historically, art, especially high-end art, tends to gain value. Our industry can be different because so many of the dolls are handled on a daily basis and, technically more used than, I always say our industry, my little terminology I say is we make art you can cuddle. And people want to cuddle it because it's so I don't know. It feels good, to hold them and cuddle them.
Yeah.
And I have a small collection here, probably 8 dolls. 2 are silicone cuddles, and the rest are vinyl babies. But even those, I don't handle my dolls. I like to keep them nice, and every so often I might pick one up and, give a little cuddle because it makes me feel nice. But I don't tend to handle them a lot because I want them to stay nice. And the ones I have a lot of sentimental value. Like I have a Levi, I have the prototype of Pearson that Sylvia E made, and like I don't want to ruin them because they're my children, So
Yeah.
I treat them really nice, but every so often I got to get a snuggle in.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of fine line because essentially they're like an oil painting, but they look like a baby. So
Hmm.
finding that balance between collecting and interacting, like in any other kind of collector area, things are always super well protected. Like you would never handle anything with your hands. But, with reborns, your people are kissing them and hugging them, changing their clothes multiple times a day, brushing the hair multiple times a day, doing like
Hmm.
role play and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's a variety of collectors. I know people who keep their babies behind glass and
Oh, yeah, I know some
simply
too.
admire them because they paid a lot for them. And other people, I mean, they want to cuddle them, they want to hold them, and they're okay, with the fact that that's gonna drop the value because they're being played with, and so I think that's, I don't know, something we have to consider when you're
Yeah,
buying it is how you handle it and how you treat it will determine kinda how the value is held. Yeah, but I think overall, because it is an art, we just have a 3D canvas, it should hold its value, if not gain value, which, I've seen babies sell for more than someone paid, and I think, great. That if it's gaining value, that's great for our industry, to show
absolutely.
an art that goes up in value over the years, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I am curious, do you have some favorite silicone sculptors, artists?
I do. I actually really, really love Joanna K's
Oh, me
silicones.
too. She's one of
I
my
just
favorites.
have never been lucky enough to snag one of the blanks. I
They
miss it every
sell like
time.
so fast.
They do. I just but I one day, I need to get one of those and paint one.
You hear that, Joanna? If you're
Yeah.
watching, Bobby needs one.
I know. I'm like, "What do I do?" Because I've messaged, like, right at the exact moment that she opens it, and I'm always too late, and I'm like, ugh. Sheila Rofka, I love her full-bodied silicones. I love her sculpting in general. She's just her babies look so newborn, and that is my favorite.
Yeah.
Bonnie Brown's new one, is a dream. Little hairy, that
Yeah.
I will be getting one of those at some point. I actually tried to get one when she first opened it, but, like, something happened with the whole processing on her website and I missed it. So I'll
Oh.
come back. It's an open edition, so I'll be able to get one. A lot of Silicone Studios babies I absolutely love. Every time they show me what they're sculpting, I'm like, oh, it's so cute. And then, of course, I love Melody's Leela. That was the first full body silicone she did. And I painted one. And when I took it to the show, that was one of the first babies that sold. So I'm like, Melody, sculpt some more, let's get some more babies. Jennifer Costello, I love her babies so much too. For artists, I really, really love Chris C. Everybody calls her something different, but Chris Carwithen, I
Mhm.
love her babies.
I know, me
She's like
too.
a goat when it comes to silicone painting in this industry. Like, she's an
Yeah.
original person, but her babies are stunning, absolutely
She
stunning.
created that she sculpted that amazing, like, Aerith Cuddlehead too, which I love so much.
That
I know
one is
Elizabeth just painted one. I have one. I've been kind of waiting until because I have a couple friends that were doing them, so I wanted to
mhm.
wait until they were done so there weren't, like, a whole bunch of Aeriths on the market at the same time.
Yeah, and
But
she sold out. That was she did great with that
yeah.
one.
Christy's just
Yeah.
all around talent, though. She's awesome.
Yeah, and she's the one that casted Bonnie's new one, and the
That's
casting is
awesome.
stunning. Like, it's flawless molding and casting, so Susan Gibbs, obviously, I mean, I'm a huge fan of her work. She's
Yeah.
done prototypes. She did a prototype of, I think it was Renan, which was the very first, like, baby with head and hands in silicone that I did, and she did the prototype, and I don't have the prototype, I wish I did, but I did get to hold it because she brought it to the doll show. It was last year or the year before, but oh, it was so good. But I've always loved her work. So, what about you?
My I think absolute favorite lately. Have you seen Andrea Lee Mum's recent silicone work?
It's
Oh my gosh.
incredible.
It is so good.
She's like out of this world talented with the realism that she can put in both vinyl and silicone now. I'm going to be asking her about prototyping for silicone for sure.
Yeah, she does the most gorgeous work. I love her vinyl work too, but I was, like, blown away by her silicone work. I like a lot like, pretty much everyone you're saying, I'm like, "Yes, yes." I really love Bonnie Bell too. I know
Yes.
Lizbeth is like, "Bonnie, you should be careful. Elizabeth might be stalking you." She really, really loves your work too.
Yeah.
Like, there are just so many, though, and I'm seeing all these vinyl artists that I love that are moving into silicone, and so many of them are just doing, like, amazing work right out of the gate.
And silicone is trickier in the sense that it's harder to get depth, that look of depth. So you can get a lot more detail in vinyl.
Yeah.
I guess that would be one of the pros of vinyl is that you can get more detail and depth. With silicone, it's a lot trickier to make it look alive because you're limited in certain areas. So I like that's why Andrea's work blew me away because silicone, although it feels more real, I think sometimes vinyl looks more real, if that makes sense. It,
Yeah.
of course, it depends on the artist, but I don't know. Silicone to me I can tell it's a doll a lot more sometimes than vinyl. I don't think I've ever been tricked by a silicone, whereas I have been tricked by vinyl before. So I have a question for you. Which medium do you prefer to paint? And which medium do you prefer to, like if you were a collector, what
Oh,
would you
that's
prefer?
a good one. So I right now I prefer to paint vinyl because I am more comfortable with it. I feel like I can get a lot more realism with it. And oh my goodness, the amount of things that stick to silicone is so frustrating. Like I spend more time picking things off with tweezers than I do painting. Like that part drives me absolutely crazy.
I
Um,
think Susan in her class tells her students, you spend 50% of the time painting and 50% of the time picking lint.
oh yeah, I believe it. It's horrible. It's like you literally need a sterile room. Like I feel like I need to get some plastic, take a little corner of my studio, have air purifiers all over on the outside, wear a
I do
suit and
recommend
everything to
that.
go in there.
The air purifiers,
Yeah.
definitely in the room you paint silicone, have one running constantly because it helps keep that dust and stuff out of the air. And you wanna be careful with what you wear because if you paint silicone wearing something that's, like, fuzzy or linty, it's like a
Yeah.
magnet. It
I
sucks
wear a
it right
lot of
in.
sweaters. No, not with silicone painting. You want to wear like a tank top, as little clothes as possible, ideally.
Right?
I also think too, I have concrete floors, and I know a lot of friends that have carpet. And like when things are kind of flying through the air, they settle into the carpet instead of bouncing off and continuing. So that's something I want to do too, is get a big area rug over there. So I don't know, maybe that will change the more comfortable I get with silicone. If I was, for collecting, honestly, I feel like I'd collect both. I love the way that vinyl looks. I like the durability of vinyl, but I can't get over the feeling of silicone. Like, I'd
Yeah,
probably have one really expensive, gorgeous silicone that I would pick up every now and then have, vinyl that I would admire.
I agree. Yeah, for me, I think for what I prefer to paint, I loved vinyl for so many years, and now I'm like leaning more towards painting silicone, and I'm enjoying it. But I was just telling Elizabeth the other day, I'm getting the itch to paint vinyl again, and it's because I have some really sought after, sold out kits sitting here, and my brain's going, do I sell these because I'm painting silicone more, or do I paint them because it took me forever to find them and I don't want to let them go. So I'm kind of getting the itch. Collectability wise, I think I'm probably both as well because I mean, a good vinyl baby, there's nothing like it because they're so realistic. But the feel of a silicone, I would definitely have a collection of both. And I do, but I have more vinyl now, but if I could afford to, I would have more silicone.
I've been thinking about starting to collect a little bit lately. I've never had the desire to do it, but I've been seeing some babies lately that I'm finding I'm really, really drawn to. And I might buy my first reborn soon. So it's about time for us to get back to work. What are you
Right.
working on right now?
I am finishing up 2 silicone cuddle heads for the doll show that I am actually donating to our show to give away, so I have to do the matting on those.
That's awesome.
One of them's a prototype of a new cuddle head named Emmy, and Sabine Hansen sculpted that. I don't know if it's Sabine or Sabine, but that's who sculpted that. And then, Mei Lee head by Melody Hess.
Oh, cool.
What are you working on?
I'm doing a tutorial. I feel like that's all I'm ever doing
Ooh.
whenever anybody asks me. But I am doing a Gracie May sculpted by Laura Lee Eagles. And
Ooh, I love
she
her.
is, yeah, I'm doing like a super just born style, which I haven't done in a while, but I really love because I get to do like acrocyanosis and heavy milli, all these great effects that I don't get to do normally. So fun.
Ooh, can't wait to see her.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
It's
pretty early
exciting.
still in the process, but she's going smoothly so far.
Awesome.
Yeah. So for you guys at home, we have been doing Work in Progress Wednesday. If you want to head on over to the community section of our YouTube channel and you could create your own post with a photo and tell us what you're working on every single Wednesday.
We wanna see it.
And if you guys want to help support us at home, you could smash that subscribe button. I feel like I'm going to punch my laptop one of these times.
You might.
You can also support us now by becoming a Reborn Rap Podcast supporter channel member. It is only $2.99 a month. You'll get some custom badges and emojis. We'll reply to your comments before anybody else's, and you'll also automatically get entered into member-only drawings.
Some good stuff too.
Yep. It's very easy to join. You just go to our page right next to the subscribe button. You're going to click join and it'll just take you through a couple of steps.
Get on there and join.
Yeah, join, join, join. And so we have been talking today about silicone artists, how much we love silicone. And we would love to know who your favorite artists are and what your favorite silicone baby is. So if you want to head on over to our community section, or we'll also have a post on YouTube, but show us your favorite silicone baby. Tell us who made it.
Yes, we wanna see those babies. Get over there and post them.
Are you ready for the clicker?
I am.
I'm going to move my microphone in preparation.
Yes. Mm.
being goofy right now. Okay. All right. Reborn Rap. That's a wrap.
It was pretty close. It
I
was
don't
pretty
even
close on
guess
my side.
anymore.
It's never right. What I see is never what I see when we play it back.
I know, right? All right, you guys. We will see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.